Hey, what's happening? Tim with Nomad Trading. What's up, you crazy cats and kittens? Today we're going to talk about my sweet tan, my baby blue eyes, or we could talk about trading. It's up to you guys. Would you rather talk about me or the stock market? I know the answer is probably me, but we're going to go ahead and talk about the stock market anyway. We're going to talk about the hottest stocks of the day, including PLM, KCAC, DPW, some others. We're going to talk about Trendline trading. Today, PLM was a great example of Trendline trading, so I'm going to bring that up and show it to you. We'll get into that. I'll show you my trades. I've never been excited to make $19.09 or something like that in my life. I was down like $500 or something today, and I ended up saving it on PLM and making $500 and ended up green for the day. Green days are good days. I was pretty depressed when I went down to my job and was down almost $500, but came back in the afternoon and saved it. So let's jump over there in my computer. We'll see what was hot today, what was going on. We'll talk about Trendline trading, how I've been kind of using that more and more lately. Everybody that watches my videos knows I like to trade breakouts and bull flags and things like that. But I've been trying to add to my short game, especially as the market's been pulling back the last couple of days, and we've been having a little bit less. I don't really know how to. It's just not as active in the momentum, low float stock world the last several weeks. So kind of trying to use that as an opportunity to always be learning and to expand my short game. So that being said, let's jump on my computer. Let's talk about what's going on. Okay, here we are in my computer. What we're looking at right now is PLM. I'll cut right to the chase. I want to talk about Trendline trading. Oh, just so y'all know, I'm not making stuff up. I'll show you my I don't really make it a habit of showing my CMEG account too much, because like in this, on my E-Trade account, you can't see my actual account number and whatnot, but on my CMEG account you can see my name. You can't really see my number if I bring my P&L over for the day, but you can see my name. Not that that matters. I'm sure most of you probably already can figure out my name if you have Google or Facebook or anything. You can figure out who I am. But anyway, I don't know, just as the channel gets bigger, it makes me a little bit nervous about like sharing stuff like that. Last thing I want to do is get hacked. But just so y'all know that I ain't lying, that I actually trade the stock market every day, I'll show you. This is my CMEG P&L for the day. So as you can see, I was down pretty big. I lost money on RETO, lost money on ANPC. This is the one that really hurt me. I'll show you what happened here in a second. And then brought it all back home with a nice $500 win on PLM to end up $19.09 in the green. Woo! Can't beat that, right? So anyway, just so you know, I actually trade. I don't just make YouTube videos about trading. I'm not saying I'm good at trading, because I'm far from being great or good at trading, but I do trade almost every day. So anyway, PLM, perfect example of a trend line trade. This is how I made my $500 back. You could have pretty much bought this. This is not a very good stock to buy the breakout, and I've been seeing this more and more, and it probably has to do with the fact that a lot of the stocks that are hot right now on their big day are not looking good chart-wise on the daily. They don't have nothing but blue sky ahead. Like this green day here would have had nothing but blue sky above it at that point, which would have been good. But when you're looking at a stock that's had multiple days with long wicks and it's in a downtrend and then it has a big day, not ideal. as far as it holding its gains. So if we come back over here, you can see that because every time it shoots up, it pulls back. And it's all about, I always tell everybody in my videos, make sure you trade safe, trade scared, be as diligent as you can about not risking too much. So when I see this go shooting up and pull right back down, that's a red flag for me. I'm already thinking after this very first big gain here that lost all of its gains back even below VWAP out of the gate, that's already a red flag. I'm already thinking, okay, this stock's really heavy. And it proved that all day. And the one thing you could count on was the trend line. So you could buy the trend line. I started making trend lines. I've always used trend lines, but I've started using them more and more often recently because I've found that, at least recently, the stocks have been following trend lines pretty good. I'm sure they probably always have. I just have never made it much of a priority. Now I'm kind of wishing I hadn't covered my short position because it's still going down. But for the longest time, it was just consolidating. I ended up getting out because I didn't want to hold it overnight. Not big on holding overnight. But I got short at, I think it was 560. And let me look down over here. Short at, trying to see, yes, okay, so I got short at 560. So the reason I did that is because of this trend line. This trend line was going the entire day. It's followed this trend line. It just keeps bouncing off this trend line, but it would not hold its gains, which told me that the stock is very heavy or being heavily shorted, or every time it gets a big spike, people are looking to sell into it. Maybe insiders are selling. Whatever the case may be, it's what I like to call heavy. So it just keeps dropping. Every time it shoots up, it drops right back down and does not hold its gains. So I knew inevitably, sooner or later, it was going to break the trend line, and when it did, it would be a good short. So as it came up here and double topped, that's a big short. Whenever people who are short sellers, I don't know why I can't talk today, but big short sellers will tell you, like a double top, that's resistance. If it gets that resistance and it doesn't really break out, that's a bearish signal. So when it comes right back down all the way and loses that entire gain, it's an extremely bearish signal. So at that point, I'm already thinking, okay, I'm going to let it bounce off the trend line again, come up, see what it does, and then look to get short. So I got short at 560, which was right in here. And I set my stop loss right above this high right here. I think at like 582. So had it started curling off the trend line again, I would have just stopped out for a 20-cent loss, roughly. So at that point, I was down $500, getting kind of discouraged on the day. But sure enough, it broke the trend line. Now this is where I'm working on being patient, because the me from the last several years would have wanted to get out of the position at VWAP, and I ended up I did cover part of the position. Let me see where my covers were. I had one at 483 and 419. So 483 would have been at this point, and that was because on my CMEG chart at that point, I believe it was the 200 moving average, I just set my stop just so that way I wouldn't lose all my gains if for some reason it had a lot of volume for it. I mean, it's already traded 101,000 or 101 million shares on the day. So I thought, the way this thing's been shooting up, it could still curl back up. So I did set my stop for half of my position at, I think it was 4, as it dropped down here, I set it somewhere in here at 482. And it was basically on the other side of the 200 moving average. And I thought, if it breaks above that, it could curl back up. So stopped out half my position there for a nice gain, held the other half. Wanted to get out here, but I thought that it could go touch 4. I had the rest of my position set to take off at 4, but it didn't quite reach 4. So it ended up curling up and making me nervous several times throughout the afternoon, but I remained patient, and all the way I watched it through close to see how it would close. It did not close strong, so after hours it just kept consolidating right here, and I thought, I do not want to hold this overnight. With CMEG, you have to be out of the position by 4:30 my time, so roughly less than an hour from now. So I thought, this could still curl up. Let me just get out. I'm green for the day. I've made up all my losses, so let's just call it a day. So I got out at 419, and that was actually right here. And then it started curling up. I was feeling good. But now here we are. It's broke below $4, but that's how it always goes. That's how trading goes. You always end up with FOMO. But I would say I took the meat of the move. I waited for it to break the trend line, covered half my position about halfway down, and then the other half down here at pretty much the low of day, other than after hours going lower. So I feel good about it. I feel good about making some progress with my shorting, getting a little better at shorting. But there was opportunities on this to the long side as well. If you just bought it off the trend line, it bounced off the trend line pretty much every time. So there was opportunities. No solid high of day breakouts other than right here. Once it broke that high of day, it shot up, and you could have made a nice profit on that. But other than that, like I said, it would have made me nervous because it just keeps dropping down. It can't hold its gains. Anytime you got a stock with big drops like that, that makes me super nervous. I'm not really looking to go long, and that's why I did not go long on this stock. Plus, I'd already been burned on ANPC. If I show you that, I can show you. I talk all the time about halts and how dangerous halts can be. Well, this thing had shot from, let's see, yesterday it was trading in the 4s, and it had already gone to high of day. What was the high of this candle? 785. So almost double. So I'm watching that, and when it got halted, it caught my eye. So I start watching it, and it shoots down real quick, which happens a lot of the time out of the first halt, and this was the first time it was halted. So a lot of times you'll get a quick pullback as people take profits, and then since it had already curled up and curled past this resistance and through VWAP, and it was that strong, I had a pretty strong feeling that it would at least go up and test this 630 range. So I got in it. I think, let's see, I don't want to lie to you, so let me see where I got in it. My buy was at 587. So on the second candle right here, it shot down. I bought it right here, looking for the bounce to break through that halt level. And of course, it did not do that. It just dropped, and I was in it for like 1,200 shares almost. So right out of the gate, I lose just on that, and I still thought it might hold VWAP and curl. Ended up selling at 558. So yeah, pretty much as soon as it broke VWAP, I just got out of it. But by that time, the damage was done, unfortunately. So that's how quick you can lose a bunch of money, and why halts can be dangerous, because sometimes even after the first halt, they don't go up. I thought this thing, with it being a low float and the way that it curled up and broke through VWAP, had a pretty good chance to take some profit, have some profit takers right here, and then shoot back up, and then I'd be looking at a nice gain. So I took a pretty decent sized position. Not big by any means, but 1,200 shares, and bam, ended up being down $500 right off the bat. So that was the story. I took another trade on RETO, but it was a small loser of $50. I'm not sure what I was trying to do with that, so I'm not going to cover it because it's not a exciting thing. So anyway, that's kind of my recap for the day. My takeaways from that would be careful with halts, and that's what I'm personally going to take away. don't be an idiot, Tim. Don't buy these damn halts, especially when they've curled down under VWAP. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking, especially with their possible resistance here. And I don't know. So oftentimes, not in the market right now, but I guess I was kind of thinking about the market from a month ago or so, where everything got halted multiple times and went to the moon, as they say on Stock Twits. So I don't know. I got in that mode where I thought it's going to pull back. It's going to shoot up. This is going to be awesome. Going to make $1,000 right away. Instead, down $500. But I was very glad that the short on PLM worked out and pulled back. It's at $4 right now, so wish I was still in that. But another big one was VVPR. This thing it climbed pretty good throughout the day. But again, didn't really hold its gains that well. It did, I don't know. You can't say that it didn't drop like PLM did, but still didn't hold its gains very well. The breakout, a little bit choppy, and then dropped right back almost to VWAP. So didn't excite me all that much, other than the fact that it had pretty good range on it. So maybe if you got in it this morning, it would have been great to hold it through that first move. Other than that, I don't know. You could have probably drawn your trend line there and maybe bought off the trend line. But the trend line's great, but it's also not an end-all be-all. Same thing with VWAP. Buying VWAP bounces. Great idea, great plan, but doesn't work every time. Sometimes they break through VWAP. Sometimes they just keep going. Everything in trading is all about the averages and playing the best setups, playing the odds. You have the best odds of such and such happening, and you're playing that, but you got to have in the back of your mind all the time that they fail. Like you might, for instance, that trend line on PLM. It's a great plan until it's not. I mean, you could be the one that's buying it right here, right before it drops, and you end up, it never recovers. It breaks through VWAP and keeps going. So always in the back of your mind, trade scared. Trust your trend lines, trust your VWAP and your technical analysis and your the history of what's worked for you, but just keep in the back of your mind that it doesn't always work. Sooner or later, it will fail, and the more times it works, the closer you get to it failing. An afternoon, that's why when I come back from being down at my work, in the afternoon, I'm looking a little more to the short side unless something's showing a whole lot of strength. So looking at these big drops, I knew sooner or later it was probably going to break that trend line. And it did, and that's great. Let's see, anything else I was going to talk about? KCAC keeps jumping up, but it's not really very exciting. The market overall today sold off big, recovered fairly well, but still down on the day, 1% SPY. I think we all knew that was coming. I've been talking about it in multiple videos. It's just crazy how much it's been day after day, new all-time highs after new all-time highs. And sooner or later, that bubble has to burst and come back to reality. So a nice pullback yesterday and today. It has recovered a bit of it today, which is a good sign. So with any luck, it'll keep holding that trend line and keep going. We'll see what happens. That's about all I got. If you got any questions, leave them down below. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for the support. You guys are awesome. I'm so happy to be monetized and making my first dollars from YouTube. That's awesome. Haven't got a check in the mail or anything, but I do have some earnings, which is awesome. So I'm pretty excited about that. This is not just a hobby. It's actually a hobby that makes a little bit of income from these videos. So make sure you let me know what you want to see. If you want to see more videos like this, if you have specific things you want to know or that I should cover, let me know in the comments. Let me know how much you made or lost today and what stocks you traded. Yeah, thanks for watching. God bless. Take care.